What's up, folks? This is Justin from Books, Bricks, and Boards. Today I've got a special video planned for you because I am going to share my top 5 co-op crawler board games. You see, there's a reason that Boards is in the title of my channel as well. I love RPGs, you know that I do, but every once in a while the timing's not right. Maybe you've got some folks home for the holidays and they're not role players, but you can get them to play a board game maybe that has some of that RPG feel. Or maybe you got a gamer in your life and they have every RPG that they can possibly imagine, but you want to get them something special. So you want to get them a board game that scratches some of that same itch. So today we're going to talk about those 5 co-op crawlers that I love so very much. Let's get into it. Before we go any further, me and my friend Ben Batfleck Affleck,
I'm Batman,
wanted to say thank you. This channel's come a long way and it wouldn't have gotten as far as it has without your support.
let's get nuts.
Very much appreciated. With that said, I'm gonna ask you for another favor.
I don't get it.
If you are enjoying the content, please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And while you're at it, ring the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the new upcoming content.
Ding, ding.
If you want to buy great games at great prices, check out my affiliate link in the description of this video to Noble Knight Games, where you can get great out-of-print or new games at great prices, and while you're at it, you'll be helping the channel. Win, win, win.
Winning.
If you've been looking for that group of special gamers to share your hobby enthusiasm with, check out the Books, Bricks, and Boards Discord server, where you'll find the greatest group of gamers in the galaxy.
Putting together a team.
And last but not least, if you would like to show your appreciation for the channel with a monetary donation,
I'm rich.
think about joining as a channel member. With memberships starting as low as $3 a month, they give you shoutouts, access to early videos, as well as some other minor perks.
It is so choice.
Any and all of these different things are greatly appreciated.
We're not worthy!
And with that out of the way, on with the show. Methodology. The reason I chose the term co-op crawler instead of dungeon crawlers is because I want games that you could play solo or co-op, because these are often going to be fill-ins for nights when your group doesn't turn out for an RPG. Rather than having a non-fire-off night be a dud, these can be a great way to replace that time and still get some gaming in. Also, I didn't want to just strictly talk about dungeon crawlers because you lose a lot of great opportunities if you just focus on dungeon crawlers. No, I think that you should look at city crawlers and mine crawlers and kingdom crawlers. Anything that's going to help you scratch that RPG itch and possibly introduce some non-role players to the hobby through this gateway format. So with that out of the way, this is my honorable mention for the list. It didn't make the top 5, but doggone it, it was close. And it would have just a couple of years ago. Forbidden Fortress and its sister game, Shadows of Brimstone, is a really neat way to fill an evening. It's got campaign play, it's got an emergent narrative story that you build yourself through random events and random rolls and cards, and you have a very unpredictable experience. You will be traveling through an Old West mine and all of a sudden you pull a portal and you are in an futuristic battlefield situation on Tradera, or you could be in a medieval Japanese fortress and all of a sudden you hit a gateway and you are in the inside of some alien creature's belly trying to work your way out. The game has a great advancement system where you randomly roll for your level up perks and you collect XP very much in an old school game fashion, getting a certain number of XP per enemy based on how tough the enemy is, as well as some bonus XP related to your missions. It has a great Diablo-style equipment gathering aspect to it too, where you are going to be hoping for the best loot in the game, and if you get that perfect item that matches your character, you are just ecstatic. It has a finality to it because the characters can and will die, as well as get scarred and have permanent injuries and madnesses that affect them in an ongoing fashion. There's also a great town aspect to this game where you get to go back to town and trade with the different merchants and even customize your weapons and equipment. It's just a really thorough game. The only thing that keeps this off of my top 5 list is this is a lifestyle game. This is going to be a game that you really need to spend some time with to truly appreciate, and you can't just have the base game. I mean, you could, but you're a gamer. You watch this channel, just let me tell you, this is a deep rabbit hole, and when you start going down it, you're going to find yourself with dozens of boxes, and it's a great experience, but beware before you journey into the shadows of brimstone. Coming in at number 5, I've got The Elder Scrolls: Betrayal of the Second Era. This is a true RPG in a box. This game has an incredible knack for getting right all of the things that you would expect from a translation of the Elder Scrolls world into a board game. You're going to have character creation where you're going to choose a class. Here we have a necromancer, and you're going to choose some skills to follow, and you're going to get specialty dice that go along with these skills. Here we have Daedric Summoning and Destruction Staff, all things very familiar to people that have played the Elder Scrolls games. You're going to collect items and equipment, and you're going to be able to use those to do battle with enemies across different regions of the world of the Elder Scrolls. So when you are playing this game, you're going to have different phases where you're traveling in the overland maps, of which there are several in the base game, and there is the Valenwood expansion that adds more. Each of these different maps also has its own spiral-bound, beautifully illustrated book that is going to cover all of the different quests for the different guilds in this game. The advancement for the characters is just very detailed. You're going to be able to pick and choose how you level your characters just as you would in the video games. You're going to be able to dip into different skills. Maybe you have a Destruction, Daedric Summoning, Dark Elf, Necromancer, but you want a couple of dice from the Two-Handed Sword skill path, and that is okay. You can do that. There is no way to absolutely gimp your character. You're going to be able to get something out of them no matter what you go with. That said, this is not an easy game when you get to the final stages. The game has different types of conflicts that you can engage in, including delves, clashes, dungeons, and more. There's also going to be non-violent conflicts that you can participate in, as well as just your standard narrative path decisions to make. All in all, this game has an amazing amount of good going for it. So why is it in my number 3 slot?
You got it wrong again!
Well, number 1, it is extremely expensive. These have weighted chips with beautiful images on them. It is an IP-related game. There's a lot of stuff in here. This box, the core box alone, probably weighs about 25 to 30 pounds. It's just a very high-quality game. Lots of neoprene in this box. Lots of this plastic instead of paper. And so that costs a lot. Another thing is, this game takes a long time to play. A buddy of mine and I played a single campaign of this earlier this year, and we spent 12 hours doing so. It's a long game, guys. It's a lot of fun, but it's a long game. And then the third thing is, the delves and the dungeons sometimes don't hit quite as well as the clashes in the overland battles do. So you're going to have some moments where, just from the sheer number of random things in this game, it doesn't all sync up quite the way you would hope that it would, and it makes for a less enjoyable experience than it otherwise is. That said, it's still a fantastic game and a great way to introduce folks to the hobby. Maybe they've played the video game before, or at least they've heard of it. They might give this a shot, but be aware up front, this is going to be a long game to play. That's why Elder Scrolls Betrayal of the Second Era is my number 5 co-op crawler. And here we have my number 4 Bag of Dungeon, or its cousin Bag of Dungeon 2, whichever flavor you prefer, or even better yet, combine them together. These are an awesome choice if you want something simple, something that you can continue to have a conversation while you're playing. Maybe you can have some beer and pretzels while you're doing this. This game is going to be very reminiscent of an old school dungeon crawler board game, like a Hero Quest, that kind of a thing, but much simpler even than that. You're going to choose a character, and the characters are different in the different boxes. And then whenever you go through the dungeon, you're drawing tiles, and you're placing tiles down on the table, and you're trying to look for, depending on which one, either your way out of the forest or your way out of the dungeon. You're going to have to kill the big bad. You're going to be collecting items, and you're going to be fighting monsters the whole time. The combat in it is incredibly simple. You basically roll your combat dice against the monster's combat dice, and whatever the difference is how much damage is done to the loser of that fight. You're going to have criticals where if you roll doubles, you get to do double damage. You are going to have a great variety in the base game of monsters to fight. You got your troll, and you've got your reacher, and your mud monster, a mirror monster, a monk. But you basically draw these random monsters as they appear on the map, and you fight your way through. It's got somewhat of a competitive aspect to it, at least in the first box, but it really is a cooperative. You can play this by yourself. You can play it with a friend. You can play it against a friend. You can fight each other if you want to. But the game is just simple and fun, and it's quick. You can throw this thing down, and it's if you lose, it's not a big deal because you can reset and do it again. Also, if you have both of these, you can combine them together, so you can make your way through the forest and into the dungeon and then back out again. It's a very simple but also robust game. The quality of the components are very good, especially with this second one. You get this nice felt feeling bag here, and even with the first one, these are nice bags, nice materials. You get meeples that go with your characters. I think they've made some plastic minis that you can get for the game now too. But the whole thing is a very small package. You can grab one of these, throw this in your backpack, take it with you. If you're on the bus or if you're in a hotel, this is the perfect size of game to take with you, and it doesn't take much thought to get it going. That's why Bag of Dungeon is my number 4 co-op crawler. Coming in at number 3 is Zombicide. Specifically, I like the superhero variations, but the others are great as well. These are city crawlers. You're going to be fighting hordes and hordes of baddies, and because zombies are known to be pretty mindless, it makes sense that they just walk into you endlessly. That doesn't mean this is going to always be an easy game, because you can get overwhelmed pretty quickly with a couple of bad draws and one bad roll. Zombicide is great because it allows you to get in at a very low price point if you so choose, like this Gotham City Outbreak or Heroes Resistance box. Both of these are around $30 retail, and they have everything that you need to play for hours on end. Now, of course, you can expand your Zombicide to include even these huge models like Galactus here. Truly the CMON game design is going to be similar even for the Cthulhu Death May Die and Massive Darkness games, but specifically I'm talking about the Zombicide games here today, because these city crawlers are going to have some minor advancement for your characters. As you're killing enough zombies, you get your meter high enough that you unlock additional powers for your characters, and they behave more and more like the characters that you see in the comic books or on the silver screen. There are great rosters for the Zombies games here, especially with Marvel Zombies that has been out for a few years now. You have literally hundreds of characters at your disposal. With the Marvel Zombies variant, you also have the ability to play as the zombies, which is pretty cool. Great aspect of this for this particular video is that zombies are a very popular genre of media, and it's not hard to find somebody that might be interested in zombies but maybe not interested in playing a role-playing game with you. So this Christmas vacation, when you sit down to discuss what kind of ham you're going to have at dinner, also say, hey, cuz, you think you'd want to play a board game with me? Well, sure, what are you thinking? Monopoly? Jenga? No, I was thinking something like this. And you plop down Marvel Zombies or Deceased Gotham City Outbreak in front of them, and they go, oh, that's a little different than I was thinking. If you've got the right pitch for your table, there is a good chance they're going to at least give this a try. These games are fairly quick, especially if you go with these smaller box versions rather than the huge boxes, and they do have a great co-op experience for your gaming pursuits. That is why Zombicide is my number 3 co-op crawler. I've got some exciting news for the channel, and that's that we have a channel sponsor now.
Yeah, baby!
Yes, that's right, we've got a channel sponsor, and that is Noble Knight Games. As my channel likes to talk about both old and new games, it's hard to find a company that aligns with the type of products that I talk about. Noble Knight Games does a great job of stocking and refreshing their shelves constantly with new and out-of-print games. Whether you're looking for that RPG that filled your childhood hours, or the newest, hottest game that's hard to find at other stores, Noble Knight Games has you covered. On top of that, they offer the ability to trade in those unused games and turn them into cash, keeping your significant other happy and your shelf always fresh. As you can see by this scroll, I've been shopping at Noble Knight Games since 2013, and I have a lot of experience using them. So for your next gaming purchase, please consider using my affiliate link found in the description of the video as well as the comments section, and you'll not only be buying a great game, you'll also be helping the channel. And thank you to Noble Knight Games for the opportunity as a channel sponsor for Books, Bricks, and Boards. Coming in at number 3 on my co-op crawler list is Set a Watch. Set a Watch is an amazing game because you can buy it in all varieties of shapes and sizes. First off, you have these 3 standalone games that are also expansions to one another. You have the basic Set a Watch Swords of the Coin, which adds merchants and items to the game, and Set a Watch Forsaken Isles, which adds Doom to the game. Also, each of the different starter sets has a set of 6 characters to choose from, all of them very interesting and fun to play. By the time you get the campaign set, which is Doomed Run, you have all of these heroes to choose from. Now, each of these heroes is defined by the set of dice that they have, and you roll these and you fight monsters that are coming at you in your campsite. You're trying to make your way back to the kingdom. You just beat the big bad, and the big bad has gone and beat you back to your own kingdom. And so you're trying to get back to your kingdom to fight the big bad again. And so you've got your dice to roll with, but one character is always going to have to stay back in camp and they're going to have to do these things like chop firewood and scout ahead and check the map. And you're constantly trying to manage your resources and decide, well, can I use my 9 to kill this 9 monster here? Or should maybe I use a card that my golem has or that my bard has to do that? And you're using your dice either as the numerical value on them or to activate cards on your character. The cards are related to the character specifically, so the knight is going to have different cards that are reflective of what a knight would be good at, whereas the bard would have those utility kind of cards that a bard would be good at. And you're going to be randomly assigned those out of a set of 5 for each character type, and you get 3 of them. They're also your hit points. So as you take damage, you flip them over and they're unusable until you get healed. And when you lose all 3 of them, that character, well, they're out of it until they get healed up. But as you play this, you work your way back to your home realm and you are fighting piles and piles of monsters each time while you're trying to keep your fire lit so you can see what monsters are coming. And it often comes down to the very end on whether you are going to survive and live to tell your great tale. But the game is super simple to teach, even though it is incredibly deep and fun to play, because you really have to optimize your plays in order to get through to the very end oftentimes. So that is why Set a Watch is my number 2 co-op crawler, and the Books, Bricks, and Boards number 1 co-op crawler is Hero Quest. Yeah, this might be a surprise for some of you, as this game was originally released in 1989. I had a copy of this when I was a kid, and I absolutely adored it. This is before miniatures were readily available and in a price point where I could afford them. So getting this game, I thought, was just going to supply me with miniatures to use in my Dungeons & Dragons games. But oh, how I was wrong. I found that the simple gameplay was actually quite enjoyable. And while I was stuck being the Zargon, that would be their term for Dungeon Master, most of the time, I still had a great time with this game. You see, your characters are basically comprised of a body stat, a mind stat, a weapon, some armor, and maybe some spells if you're an elf or a wizard. And when you attack, you're going to roll your combat dice. And if you rolled skulls, those are going to do damage. And your enemy's going to roll their defense dice. And if they rolled a black shield, which is a 1 in 6 chance, they block a point of damage done by a skull. They cancel each other out. Here, we'd have 2 damage done to that enemy. But whenever the enemy attacks you, you're looking for these white shields, and there's a 2 in 6 chance of those. So the heroes have a slight advantage over the enemies, but it's not much. Also, you're rolling for movement, which is going to annoy the heck out of a lot of people. That's okay, though, because it creates chaos in your whole game, because you don't know how far the next character is going to move, so you don't want to get too far ahead of the party, or you might end up stuck in the back here like the barbarian fighting this dread warrior by himself. And then also you can't help out your buddies who are up here fighting a gargoyle, and then we've got a zombie coming along. So the other great thing about this game is that it's going to have some terrific 3D terrain, these doors, these shelves, chairs, you've got chests, you've got desks, you got fireplaces. All of that's going to add to the ambiance of your Hero Quest game and your fantasy role-playing game. So this game is going to be fast, it's fun, it's easy to pick up, but what makes it the top of this list is the new app. Hasbro has created an app for this game, which is free, and it allows you to play this cooperatively or solo. That's right, the app is the Zargon. There are also some adjustments that you can make within the app to make it play more difficult or easier. I think this is a fantastic addition to this already great game. Not to mention all of the different expansions that Avalon Hill and Hasbro has released for this new version of HeroQuest. Many of them offering new heroes. There are now 12 of them in total, and more options for the Zargon to use as well. You can also create your own dungeons with this game, and as a sneak preview, I'm telling you, this is also one of my favorite way to play other games solo right now. That's just a teaser. I'll talk more about that in a video later. So, HeroQuest. It's a game that is going to be a fantasy dungeon crawling experience. With the core box, you're going to get the dwarf, the wizard, the elf, and the barbarian, but you can expand that later if you want specific characters. You can find which different expansion has each character. But you also have two flavors for that base game. You've got the original, which has all of this 3D terrain and these great miniatures, or they've recently released First Light. This is not a bare bones game. This is a complete game. It's got different missions than what the original box did, but it's got just as many, and it's got the same size of board, and it's got just as many enemies, and it has alternate scopes for the same 4 heroes. So even if you have this, you might want to buy that. Also, while it doesn't have miniatures for all the enemies, it's got these great standees, which are already color printed. So you don't have to paint these guys, and they still look great. And it's got the same number of standees that come with the base game in miniature form. Now, the furniture and the doors and stuff, those are cardboard, and the furniture is not 3D in the First Light edition. But here's the kicker. First Light you can get for about $50, where HeroQuest, the full game, is going to be about $90. So you've got some great entry point options. You've got a fantastic tried and true game, which you can play. I know it says 14 plus. My 7-year-old and I have been playing this. We've been having a blast. And you can introduce non-gamers to this quite easily because all they have to do is look at their combat score, roll those dice, the Zargon rolls to see if they defend. That's it. It's that easy. It's a lot of fun. It's a great beer and pretzels game, like I'd said earlier, for another one of the entries into this list. And it's very accessible. And that is why HeroQuest is the Books, Bricks, and Board #1 co-op crawler. Look at those absolute legends. Chronic Axe, Dengar the Mighty, I Am Not Tim, Bjorn, Agile Monk, Keith Simone, Joke, Blue Rose Lion, and Mike the Hammer. Special thanks to Neuromancer, Simon Templar, Spinning Toehold, Acene Dean, Pralinor, and Steve Grodzicki. So there you have it. Those were the top 5 Books, Bricks, and Boards co-op crawlers. If some of the ones that I had wouldn't have been on your list, tell me about it. If you think there's a game that should have been on my list and you think maybe I should give it a try, tell me about that. You never know what I might pick up and even talk about here on the channel. But one thing always remains true: as long as you're having fun, you're doing it right. This has been Justin from Books, Bricks, and Boards. Good gaming, and God bless.